My very special guest is a transformational life coach, an Amazon international bestselling author, speaker, and a certified career and business coach. She uses her experience working in Fortune 50 companies as a human resources executive to bring encouragement, education, and love to empower others to reinvent themselves and define their ultimate mission in life and business so they can live amazing lives and leave their unique and positive mark on the world. She is Anissa Zabriskie. Welcome to the show, Anissa.
Hey, how's it going?
Going just fabulous. I really am thankful to be able to have you on the show. You and I had the chance to meet when you delivered this amazing talk all about self-care for HR professionals. This was at the Cape Cod HR Association, where I serve as a
Yeah.
board member. But you got to share with us while you were there in Hyannis,
Mhm.
your professional journey, right? Which really
Yeah.
intrigued me. Because I know, Anissa, you've had some experiences that I haven't in that you've worked for Fortune 50 companies, as I mentioned in your intro. So I thought we could start there if you could. And I wanted to know, when you're working with really large organizations like that, what are some of the joys and frustrations that can come naturally when working with those types of companies?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a great time down in Hyannis at the SHRM convention or the SHRM meeting that was held there. So good. It's always good to meet other HR people and see other HR people in their element. And yeah, I've had a good opportunity over the course of my career to work at three different large corporations. I started out in at Motorola. What was Motorola then? There's something I think they've broken up into other companies now. But then also GE. I worked at General Electric for a while, and also the Dow Chemical Company. One of the things that, some of the things that are exciting about that is these companies, many times they have large budgets. So you're able to take it, if you, depending on if you're in a for-profit function or if you're in a support function, you do get the opportunity to take advantage of a lot of those opportunities. The other advantage is the resources. You can leverage those names, those brands to kind of get ahead from a resource standpoint. In terms of pricing, a lot of times companies can negotiate different rates for suppliers because if you're a larger company, you're going to be servicing more people or you're going to be buying more product. And some of the other advantages that I had that I've actually I would encourage people to kind of leverage is just the networking. I have people from Motorola that I met back when I worked there, 20 plus years ago. I'm still friends with them today. And a lot of times, if I can help them along the way in terms of if they're looking for new career opportunities or something, I'm there for them to provide them with resources, or if they want to, if there is like a background check or something, I'm usually there to help them in that space. And also just following their career and their journey. A lot of times that's opened doors for me to do other things like, speaking engagements and so forth. So I think that's one of the those are some of the key advantages.
I like that. I hadn't really thought about that before, but the scale of your organization, the size of your company must mean that you have an HR tech stack that's got to have lots and lots of tools in it. And
Uh-huh.
when you talk to a prospective vendor and you say, "Yeah, I'm with Dow or I'm with GE or something," it's like
Yeah.
that's going to get their attention. So they're gonna
Right.
jump through some hoops to be able to make sure that get you a good chance to see all the latest and greatest stuff out there, I would think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really been positive for me over the years.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this from the angle of saying that it's always about fit, right? For candidates when they're talking about,
Right.
do I want to work for a company that's local? Do I want a remote job? Do I want to work for a big company, small company, whatever it might be? But I guess this is the angle that I'm really interested in getting your perspective on is when you think about the largest organizations, what are some of the advantages that they naturally have when trying to attract that top talent?
Yeah, when looking for top talent, a lot of the one of the fortunate things, because I actually early in my career I did have an opportunity to work at a smaller company, and one of the things that when I compared the two in terms of advantages for recruitment, name brand was a big thing. if your company is a household name or you're providing products and services that resonate in people's homes, that's always an attraction. Also now, since, coming out of post-pandemic, people are looking for that flexibility to be able to work remotely or work hybrid. And when you're at a larger organization, a lot of times you have those opportunities to do that. You can, at the company I'm at currently at DuPont, we offer, a hybrid work program that allows people to be able to do, to work from, almost anywhere, 40% of the time. And, provided you don't have a job where you have to be, 100% on site. And so the other thing that I find that candidates are excited about are opportunities if you're not a U.S. citizen. A lot of times, if you're a larger company, you can provide sponsorship for immigration status, H-1Bs. A lot of times that can include their family. So it's a great opportunity to get those kind of high level knowledge workers in place where we may have gaps. So, the benefits also of a larger company are really good. For example, many companies offer tuition reimbursement. I know some companies now, as I've gotten to know other companies through SHRM, they offer a program where they will help you pay off your college debt. So many times, employees or future employees are looking for that. And that's aside from things like, your overall, your garden variety benefit plan. They're also looking for companies that are ethical and also have sustainability involved. So oftentimes that'll be a huge factor when it comes to recruitment that some of the larger companies have as an advantage.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of natural strengths that come along with that size. You mentioned the name brand recognition, having access to resources and programs perhaps that you can't find at some of the smaller companies. I think I could see where that would totally be something that the larger enterprises are definitely going to want to leverage to attract and retain that top talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think in the research that I've been doing, I've been looking a lot at the future of work, always looking at the trends. And I have noticed that in some cases, candidates are also expressing sometimes a hesitance to join big companies. Some of the things that they cite sometimes are maybe a lack of autonomy, like a little bit of extra bureaucracy that can come along, understandably, I would say, with large organizations, but also perhaps a tendency to get lost in the numbers sometimes because the companies just get really big. I know when I was in the military, for example, that was a fairly large organization to speak of, and sometimes it felt that way. But my question for you, Nissa, is what are enterprises like yours doing to kind of offset some of those concerns about either getting lost in the sauce, so to speak, or not having as much autonomy, getting drowned out by bureaucracy?
Yeah, it's a good point. Bureaucracy a lot of times, as well as, interoffice politics. Sometimes, especially for early career professionals, this may be their first professional job. They're just not experienced. They're having exposure to that. So what many companies are doing, and the companies I've particularly been engaged in, are doing is helping employees as they come in the door with their onboarding and provide them with the tools for success here. So for example, something as simple as creating a buddy structure within a company so that when you come in, there's someone who's not your manager, who can be your mentor and it kind of help you, all the way from, where's, the cafeteria to, what's the culture like at this company so that they can, blend in and be most effective. So that would be kind of a formal, a manager assigns a buddy to you that usually is someone that's in your department. So for example, in our research and development organization, scientists will assign, the manager will assign another scientist to a scientist to help them navigate things like, learning, lab, understanding our lab support, understanding lab safety, because it can differ from, coming out of academia into corporate America. Also managing timelines, understanding customer demand. So the buddy structure really works well there. The other thing that many companies are doing now is creating something called an employee resource group. Some of them call them diversity networks. Some of them call them affinity networks. But there are specific networks that are focused on an area where an employee, where they can create mass employee networks. So you'll have an African American network. We'll have a network. We have a network called Pride, which is for our LGBTQ plus population. We have a women's network. In fact, just recently, our women's network participated in the Massachusetts Conference for Women in downtown Boston. So, the company sponsored a table. Both our female or women population that were members, as well as allies, were able to go and participate in these events. And so, again, that creates an opportunity to help them kind of navigate and learn from each other a lot of ways, a lot of coping mechanisms to deal with, the stressors that come from being in a larger corporation. And also what we find with the affinity networks too, is it gives the employee an opportunity also to learn about other jobs or other opportunities within the organization. Because a lot of times as you're looking to grow and advance your career, you may want to move from one, business to another business, or, one geography to another. And so these networks can help provide those connections so that employees can connect with leaders that may have open opportunities in those areas. So we've seen a lot of good positive mileage coming from that. So also we have functional resource groups. These are resource groups that specifically focus in on a particular area of the business. So we'll have one for engineers. We'll have one for scientists. We may have a functional resource group for sales and marketing. And same premise as the diversity networks, but it's focusing more on a specific genre of work that, and then people can learn from each other in that space. So those are just some of the ways you can help employees navigate through and not be in a sea of people, because it's very easy to be lost at a 52,000 employee company, but it creates a sense of belonging and purpose.
Yeah, I really love all those examples because they're really talking about how do we, sometimes I use the term rehumanize work, which is increasingly mechanistic in some ways for a lot of reasons, but I can see where that would be doubly so in really large organizations. But when you have on the micro level, like an individual employee, here, have a buddy work with you, or on the more of a larger scale network, okay, let's find an affinity group that might have hundreds of people in it, if not more, that are all related in some way, and you can develop that sense of belonging, relationships, and networks, as you pointed out. So I think really bringing some human balance to just the law of large numbers that takes place within these bigger enterprises.
Yeah. So it's a great, we've gotten really solid feedback. And one of the last thing I just wanted to point out is there are many companies are also focusing on our early career professionals, because many times when they come out of university, or they come out of, high school even, they may not have all of the awareness and skill sets to be successful when you go into, a private company. And so we've done things like we have an early career board where we do like a cohort. There's a cohort type experience. We have a group of employees. They get in this particular group, they work on a project, and as part of their project, they're exposed to senior leadership. They're given an opportunity to ask questions of senior leadership, hear of their background and careers. And this also helps them feel closer to close on a very large organization.
Yeah, more human stuff. I love it. Learn from the people who've kind of come ahead of you and have that sort of affiliation and connection to them. I dig it. I really appreciate you rounding me out when it comes to thinking about the bigger company stuff. Like I said, it showed up in my research a lot, and I realized that I've never had that experience. So I love that you were able to fill me in on that. But I also wanted to turn our attention to something that I deeply respect and appreciate, and that's the practice of coaching. I mentioned in the top, you've got so much great coaching experience, and you've written on this topic that really resonates with me because I've been through, I don't know what chapter or act I'm on in my own life, but it's all about reinvention. When you think about clients who are in this point where they know they want to make this type of reinvention that you talk about in their life, I just wonder, Anissa, how do they talk about it? How do they describe what that feels like for them, or the mental process they're going through when it's time to start down this new path?
Yeah, I'll share with you. I'll give you two things. I'll share my personal experience, and then I'll also share what I'm hearing from clients. My personal experience was I had been doing HR. It happened to me about I'd say about 10 years ago. I was doing HR. I had been in HR for over 20 years, and I just felt like there should be more to my career than what I was getting from it. And I remember we had just went through a major change in our company. Our company had merged with another company, and then we were going through a spinoff from that. And I just felt like I was losing my professional identity. And I remember telling my husband in the car one day, just profoundly, something has got to change. And I began to start reading some self-help books. I started going to conferences like our women's conference, Massachusetts Conference for Women, and Pennsylvania Conference for Women. And I actually connected with a woman by the name of Lisa Nichols. She's a motivational speaker and presenter and author. And during meeting with her, I realized that, number one, I had been doing the same thing for so long that I needed to try to venture out and do something different, kind of create a challenge for myself. And that's when I began doing life coaching and career and coaching development. And what I find when I hear from customers who are also, or my clients who are also looking to make those types of changes, oftentimes they feel burnt out. They've also been doing the same thing for so long, or they're in a situation where they're not growing anymore. That you can be in a role, for example, you can be a chemical engineer and be doing engineering in a particular role. And over time, you may find yourself in a situation where you don't feel like you're learning anything new. Okay. Or it could be a situation where you're not getting enough challenges in your professional work life. So there's not challenging work assignments. You're doing the same thing day after day. And so you need to get that change. Or you're in a work environment where it's not serving you anymore. And so either it's gotten to be a toxic situation where you're working side by side with people that you no longer can consider good colleagues. And so at that point in time, people say, you know what, I'm looking for a change. I want either a new career, or I want to stay in my current function and just go to another company. And that's when we sit down, or I sit down with them and start going through finding out, number one, what is the root cause of your dissatisfaction? And then second, what are you looking for in the future, and what does success look like for you? Because it's going to be different for different people, even though you may be entering the conversation at the same point.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a very intense feeling when it's happening. I'm so glad you shared your own personal experience of having gone through that. But I think once you come out the other side, everything just becomes so much easier, right? And when you the thing I hear most often is, I kind of wish I would have done it sooner, right? That's the one thing you consistently hear. But I guess when you think about what are some of your favorite techniques then when it comes to helping someone who's trying to make those different types of navigation changes, if you will?
Yeah, a lot of time, for step one is finding out what's been holding them back. What are the things that have kept them? A lot of time, there's things like sometimes it's financial. job, many of us are not, I could say a majority of the people that I'm working with, they're working, they're working for a reason. And that reason is so they can, pay their bills and, fund their responsibilities. And so there's fear oftentimes in something new, especially I've seen people that have been on the job 40 something years and something changes, either your role is eliminated or you decide to leave, and they're afraid to go out and start anew. So I usually sit with them and start with the basics. So things like, let's look at your resume or your CV. Let's find out, are there things we need to edit, take away, add to? We also look at their social media, make sure that their LinkedIn profile is acceptable and they've got a good platform on there where they're highlighting their knowledge, skill sets, and abilities. Are they getting feedback from prior colleagues that may be able to give them good comments and referrals? I also sit with them and we do go through interview, just back to basics interview skills. Many times, if you've been on a job for 10 plus years, you have not interviewed for another position. So just making sure they understand or have a good foundation for interviewing and some of the new interview techniques that are out there, and make sure that they are, have a sense of what's happening there. And then the other thing that I often talk to them about, especially if they're in a situation where their job's been eliminated. So they'll come and say, oh, my job was eliminated. And it's like, okay, thinking also, why was your job eliminated? Why was your role eliminated? Is there things you could do differently in this next role that would perhaps preclude that from happening again? Because many times companies, when they're going through a restructuring, they'll go through a process where they will restructure out folks that have skill sets that are obsolete, or someone that they've determined may have a challenging work pattern or challenging to work with. So are there things in your work life approach that you can change as you go into this new role? Would you approach things differently? What skill sets did you not have in your current role or in your past role that you will need for this current role? And let's hone in on that. So just helping them reflect about how they can be different in this new role, even though they may be doing the exact same job or a job that's very similar.
I like that you're recommending this balance between almost the personal reflection, the thinking, but also the doing. Like, let's practice some interview skills. Mm-hmm. Let's get clear about actually putting some, paper to pen or pen to paper when it comes to like, what's this vision? What do you see for yourself in the future? So it's very holistic in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to look at the whole approach, from the very beginning, when you do that application all the way up through to when you're, moving into day one on the new job, and so that I think that's so important as people prepare, so that they have, like you said, a 360 view of themselves to going into a new role.
Yeah, and it's powerful to have a coach like yourself in the corner trying to help them, sort of hold up a mirror and really help them with that. And I know that you wrote a book recently that has over 1,000 coaching questions in it, covers, from what I saw, so many different aspects of work and life. And I just wanted to have one of my last questions for you here, Anissa, which is, what is it about coaching questions and posing the right coaching question at the right time that makes these so powerful in helping people to really get to that level of awareness and make the type of transformation you're talking about?
Matt, when I became a certified life coach, I went through a series of trainings. And one of the trainings that was eye-opening for me is that as a coach, your role as a coach is to ask probing questions, to help your clients resolve the situation themselves through reflection. That's the purpose of a coach to begin with. And when you're as a coach, oftentimes, you always go in prepared, and you want to have questions that will spark conversation, that will spark that thought process with your clients so they can help to kind of resolve their situation. Now, you can always, as a coach, bring your own experiences and, help them navigate. If they come up with an idea or suggestion, you can help them navigate that and put that into perspective and create a plan. However, asking the question is so profound. And with the 1,000 coaching questions, and it's targeted for coaches, but anyone can use it. If you're a coach, if you're a HR professional, if you're someone that is looking to just reinvent yourself, you want to take it to the next level. You know, you've got your rerouting book, and now you're ready to take it to the next avenue of action. This is a great book to help you really kind of put everything in perspective and really give yourself a blueprint for success. Because as a coach, you're helping someone come up with ideas and thoughts about how to resolve their own concerns. Now the next step is, how do we put this in action? Here are some action steps that you can take to really get to the next level. And that's really what coaching is all designed to do.
I've always found coaching to be such a powerful practice. I've always had the great benefit of having coaches work with me on all types of different aspects of things. So I'm so glad that you wrote that book and gives us the questions that we need to really, demystify that part of the
Right.
exploration process. So I love it. Well, I want to do something fun with this real quick. We're going to have a trivia question that's posed to us by AI. And I love that you wrote this book all about rerouting, and it was so great. So I drew inspiration from that, and we're going to have a trivia question about maps. I'm terrible at maps, but we're going to try this out. Here's our question from AI here. It says, what is the most common symbol used on maps to represent a city? A city, when you think about looking at a map.
Is it a pin?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a pin. Let's see.
All right.
Audience, if you're playing along at home, lock in your answer. Let's see what it says. And the answer is yes, you got it. Ding, ding, ding. And look at that. You crushed it. Who knows more about rerouting than you? Nobody. See, that's what it is. I love this. But I'll give you an even better question, Anissa. Where can my audience go to learn more about you and all the great work you've done?
Well, that's a great question. I am on YouTube. I'm also on, I'm on Amazon. My books are on Amazon. Sparking Transformation is on Amazon. You can get the live book, whatever they call that these days, a soft copy of the book. You can also get it electronically if you have, read one of these Kindle readers or what have you. And also it's on Audible. So it's there. Also, rerouting is on Amazon. And oftentimes I'm on TikTok under Sparkling Transformation. And you can join me there throughout the month. I go live, and we talk through different challenges and share and work through situations in the book. So I'd love to hear from people. If you have any questions at all about anything, please let me know. If you want to see something, let me know. Also, I'll be doing, just kind of circling back, bringing that full circle around HR. I'll be in April 28th through April 30th of next year. I'll be at the SHRM Tri-State Conference at Mohegan Sun. So that's a conference between Massachusetts State SHRM, Rhode Island SHRM, and Connecticut SHRM. So I'll be speaking there on performance management and how to identify a great talent. So Matt, this has been the most fun I've had on a podcast. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you were able to join me, Anissa. Listeners, I'm going to have those links that Anissa just referenced in the show notes. You're only one click away. But it was fabulous talking to you, Anissa. I appreciate the perspective that you shared with me today and with my audience. And I just really appreciate having you on.
All right. Great. Good deal.